Hi, I'm Paul.
And I'm Tiffany.
To some, we could be called career wizards.
And to others, sometimes we seem like therapists. However, we definitely are not.
But for you, we are the co-hosts of the Career Boosters podcast. Hello and welcome to the Career Boosters podcast, season 2, episode 33, and episode 69 of our podcast. An FYI for you, June 20th is going to be the last episode of season 2. Tiffany and I are going to take a break, a 7-week break to be very specific. We need a break from the podcasting world just to give ourselves a little recharge, a little energetic boost to come at you season 3 with the term guns ablazing comes to mind. So today we have a very fun, not sure how this is going to go type of episode with Curtis Middleton, part-time MBA student and senior organizational change management specialist. That is a long title here at the University of Alberta. Curtis is going to talk to us about many different things, and I'll get into that in a minute. But Curtis has been an incredible addition to our part-time MBA program. He constantly is going to events, interjecting his personality and himself into the MBA landscape, which I think, what a beautiful thing. Today, we're going to talk about the fear of, or in other terms, what could be holding us back from something. We have the fear of missing out. We have, or FOMO. We have the fear of people's opinions, or FOPO. And we have the fears of joining in, FOJI. These are 3 topics that Curtis, Tiffany, and I chose to talk a little bit about. Each choice we made affects us in different ways. We're going to let Curtis ask us some questions as well through this. So this is going to be a little bit more discussion based. Rather than a host or two asking the questions to the person, we are going to have a discussion. And we even had Curtis come up with some questions as well. We wanted to give you insight into what kind of conversation could look like, and we needed an amazing communicator and collaborator to do that with us. So Curtis, I get to start with the first question. What is the story behind your decision to embark on an MBA journey right now?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Paul. I think when I graduated with my BCom in 2015, I really wanted some work experience before I came back to do a master's, but it was always my plan to do a MBA. And then 2 years ago, I started working in the role you mentioned for the IT group on U of A campus, IST. And that was like really my opportunity to, I just thought serendipitous timing, I may as well embark on the MBA journey. So I applied, and a year after starting with U of A, I took the dive and started my part-time MBA. So I'm here almost every evening and weekend.
Oh, man. And Curtis, part-time MBAers, because Paul and I work with full-time MBA students primarily, which means we don't often get to interact with part-time MBA students, but it's been a bit different with you because you really are a fully engaged, kind of all-in part-time MBA student, showing up in places sometimes that other part-time MBA students aren't. And so we've had a chance to interact with you a little bit more, which has been lovely. The 3 of us have a lot of fun in our conversations together. And in one conversation recently, the 3 of us were talking about this kind of a mental challenge, kind of what gets in our way. And I want each of us to talk about the one that we've chosen to kind of reference today. Paul mentioned them off the hopper. But Curtis, why don't you tell us a little about FOMO? I've got FOPO and Paul's got FOJI. Why don't we just give a little bit off the hop, and then we'll each talk about them a little bit more as we go.
Yeah, for sure. So fear of missing out is, that's what FOMO stands for. And I think it's a more maybe commonly known acronym for that. Generally means that I find it hard to say no when there are events that I really want to go to, or even events that I maybe don't want to go to, but my mind is still like, let's go. We might miss out on something.
Cool. I I can feel that in some places every once in a while, but the one that really gets me, and I think maybe is maybe second most commonly known out there, is FOPO, fear of people's opinions. That one hits me on a daily basis, for sure. Paul's extra nodding his head because he gets to hear about it from me a little bit more often, but I really am impacted and have been since I was young, for sure. It comes from a place of just childhood interactions that has just stuck with me, and I am always either kind of guarding myself against or watching for what I assume to be others people's opinions. And the word assume is a really important word in there for me. I know they're assumptions, but goodness gracious, it shows up every day. Paul, what about you?
Yeah, it's interesting when we were thinking about what kind of topic we wanted to talk about, and we talked about these things that hold us back. I think we can talk a lot about the things that are strengths and our values, all these other things. But for me, I had a tough time finding something because, I think there's a bunch of stuff that potentially holds me back. But for me, I came across this term FOJI, the fear of joining in. It probably comes from a little bit of like social anxiety. It comes from I feel maxed out a lot of the time. Like I feel like I need a break, I need recharge, and life is busy. You have a full-time job, you have 2 kids that play sports, and I coach both of them, and it's just life is busy, and so the taking a step back for me is really hard. And so there is a fear of like if we have to go to a new event or if we have to do something that is out of our comfort zone, that's a really tough thing for me. So FOJI is the one that I chose, fear of joining in.
It's funny, as you explain that, I'm like, man, I wish I had more of that.
It sounds like Curtis, we have the same hairstyle, but we have a very opposite end of this kind of fear spectrum, right? Like, and
Totally.
it's almost like if you could find something in the middle, that would be like a perfect balance. So yeah, interesting.
And I feel like when you do the editing of this, Paul, you need to put me in the middle and either of you on either side, because I feel like the odd person out, and you are the bookends of either of these fears. But
yeah.
Oh boy. So how does this impact us on a daily basis? So we talked about this a little bit, but let's talk about how it shows up every single day. And for me, I'll give just one. It has me second guessing myself. So it does a lot of things, but it has me often second guessing my effectiveness, if I'm doing the right thing, if I said something the right way. It just, and that doubt, even if it's just a little bit, actually has quite an impact when you kind of add that together when it happens on the daily. What about you guys?
I'm gonna just add something there, Tiffany. Like you and I have worked together for 2.5 years, and I think the cool part is you've been open about kind of that people's opinions matter and things like that, and having validation, having that doing a great job, things like that. That's always important. But the more we get to know each other, the better you can kind of understand how to navigate those conversations with people. I have this thing with Tiffany. It's like, oh, Tiffany, like you're good, like and it's I hope that just brings balance and brings like a peace of mind, right? And we can help people's fears a little bit too, right? So for myself, the fear of joining in, my goodness gracious, how does this impact me? It's literally every day. It's a very overwhelming feeling, and I think that when you feel overwhelmed, it's like, oh boy, how do I even make a decision? And then it's like the paralysis by analysis, right? It's like all of these things that I have to juggle, and so it really holds me back from the ability to just say yes to an opportunity and just go and enjoy it, right? Where I'm sure, Curtis, you probably jump in a little bit more and you're like, yahoo, let's go and do it. Where I'm like, oh my God, how is this going to do this and this and this? How do I logistically get there and do this and that? There's a very much overthinking involved in there as well.
For sure. Yeah. So I think, for me, it comes down to boundaries, and just wanting to say yes to almost everything. And I noticed it a lot more, like Tiffany said, like I noticed a lot more when I was younger, more so because it breached on, unhealthy yeses to the point where it's like I'm burning myself out, because there's so much that I want to be involved in. But it's almost like what comes to mind is that being a jack of all trades but master of none. Like that's how I am with events sometimes, is that it's like I want to be involved, I want to learn everything, and that's just not physically, humanly possible. So I guess what comes to mind for me is like, how do you know what that line is between like unhealthy, maybe reliance on that fear and healthy reliance?
I love that question because I think even though these get a bad rap, FOMO, FOPO, FOJI, they seem like negative things. I actually think there's a function in there that is quite helpful, and that there is utility behind all of these. But the line gets awfully blurry between helpful and unhelpful. For me, when I think about, and here's an interesting tie-in. So Paul loves to remind me, and it's a good quote, but he loves to remind me that comparison is the thief of joy. And what I have found a bit of a twist of that is that comparison, so again, it's also comparing myself to others, it's actually the envy piece that is the thief of my joy. And so if I'm comparing myself to somebody else and that gives me something healthy to strive for, or a different way to think, or a new way to approach something because somebody's got it a different way, that's pretty cool. That is an intrinsic motivator for me to get better. The minute it flips into envy, then it is truly a thief of a lot of things, including joy.
Yeah, one way I've heard that phrase before is judging my insides by other people's outsides.
Ooh.
Like wanting,
Writing that one down.
wanting that outside image to be like what's inside me, right?
Yeah.
And that, that totally steals joy. You're right, Tiffany.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful. Like, the things that hold us back are, in Tiffany, what Tiffany was talking about around comparison, right? It's, or people's opinion of us. At the end of the day, I always say it doesn't matter what the opinion of others is. And I as the oldest person here, by a number of years, I think, I have began to realize that other people, their opinion of me, it doesn't reflect, you talked about the inside, right, Curtis? Like, this is what we should be the most proud of. And when I think about why Tiffany and I do the work that we do, and I'm going to speak for Tiffany on this end, but it's literally to help people and to become more familiar with ourselves. The more familiar with ourselves, we can deep down, like, really trust and validate and value ourselves. And that's what I truly, every coachee that I work with, it's like, how can I get you to believe in yourself a little bit more? And once you believe in yourself, I think things start to like just roll and steam forward, right? But these things are all going to get in our way. Even myself, I fully know that, like, with social anxiety and anxiety, just like this little person right here from Inside Out too, like, lives deep inside of me, right? I'm an overthinker, I'm a worrier, and it gets in my way of, the ability to just find joy in little simple conversations, or going to a community barbecue where you could just hang out with your neighbors, right? Things like that. Something as simple as like, oh gosh, I have to go and meet this friend. Sometimes I need to like prep to like get there, and like that's ridiculous because they're your friends. They should just be able to see you as they are, right? So,
For sure.
What about you, Curtis? Where's your healthy balance between it being helpful versus hurtful?
I think it's when I start to notice, I think it's like playing the tape forward and thinking about how saying yes to this may impact me in the future, which is something I didn't consider in past times when I wasn't thinking about this. I was just like, yes, 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 yes. And then, I get to a place where I'm just like, my gas tank is completely empty and I've committed to a bunch of different things. And then, I burn out. And so I think it's like trying to think a little bit farther ahead than just what I want right now, and gauging that in my response. So being willing to say, like, recognizing that the impact of saying yes is going to be worse than if I just say no in this moment, even though that's really uncomfortable for me to do.
I hear that you consider future Curtis's thoughts, feelings, and opinions rather than just paying attention to like current Curtis.
Correct. Yeah.
I want to add one thing in there. There was I don't know who told me this or where I heard this from, but no can be the end of a sentence.
No can be a complete sentence.
A complete sentence, right? It's like, so if somebody asks you to do something, no. And that's okay, right? And sometimes an explanation isn't needed, right? Sometimes we all have these people-pleasing tendencies, right? We don't want to, if we say no to something, somebody's going to be upset at me. If I don't go to a friend's birthday, but I'm feeling like my gas tank is minus 100, like, hopefully the friend understands, right? But we need to be able to understand the impact. I loved what you said. Saying yes can impact the future, but I think it's both for good and for bad too, right? Like and for positive and for negative. So
Yeah, I think one thought that just came to mind is in the MBA program, we're encouraged to say a lot to a lot of things. Good thing, like that. That's why I'm here, right? I'm here to learn. I'm here to experience new things, put myself in uncomfortable situations. And I think as a part-time student, we're balancing a lot of other things, right? I've built a life in Edmonton outside of the school program. I have full-time work going on. And so it is a balance of like, what can I say yes to and what can I say no to, so that I'm still like showing up in a healthy way for my family, but also in a healthy way for my colleagues that I've said yes to. Right.
Can I highlight that balance? I got a question for you, Curtis, because it's interesting. Paul and I balance each other quite nicely in some ways. In some ways, not, but in this way we do. Welcome to the world of Paul and Tiffany. No, so Paul's talked about and he said it before, his gut reaction to a lot of things is no. My gut reaction to a lot of things is yes. And mine's often from a people-pleasing perspective. His maybe from a fear of joining in or overwhelm. But that he and I actually balance that auto no and auto yes, at least in a workspace where we work together is a neat balance. I'm curious for you, Curtis. Do you have someone who balances your FOMO out for you?
Yeah, so in my marriage, my wife is much like Paul, actually, has a strong fear of joining in.
That's a little scary.
you're telling me.
So we do balance each other out quite well, and I think she's learned more to say yes to things, because I think she's realized when I pull her along to events, she's like, oh, actually that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I think I've noticed, like, when she's saying no to something, like, she gets to relax.
Yeah.
Enjoy, I spent 3 hours in my garage this semester doing woodworking, and it was like the only tiny little break I got to like work on woodworking. And I was like, man, this was so nice. Like, I felt so at peace and just like felt that kind of balance restored for that short amount of time. And I was like, oh, I need more of this, right? But it takes being uncomfortable and saying no to do that. So
it's interesting, Curtis, you bring up such a cool part, is like these partnerships that we have in life, whether it's a partnership at work, whether it's a partnership at home. It's so fascinating to me that we sometimes choose like people on the opposite end of things, right? My wife, elementary school teacher, very outgoing. Oh, we should go to this community barbecue and this. I'm like, no, like, what the heck? I'm like, God, I've run at 100% all the time. I'm like, I just want downtime. But then you do go and you do have a good time. So I can relate wholeheartedly to that. And it's, everybody has different balance points, right? And we had a guest just a couple episodes ago, Jenna, and she talked about work-life harmony. And I cannot tell you how much that resonated with me. The ability to look at, like, Curtis's harmony is different than my harmony, that's different than Tiffany's harmony. We can't expect everybody to have the same harmony, right?
So where do you think you've, like, in terms of like looking at that harmony, and obviously when you're not feeding into your fear, you're probably more at harmony. So where have you recently conquered that fear in your life?
Yeah. I think, I look at trying to find harmony every day, whether it's in little moments of going for a walk and just sitting and, looking at being present, watching I had a psychologist once tell me, like, watch a leaf fly by, like, look at a leaf, watch a squirrel play on a tree, just be present, be in the moment. And I look for tiny moments every day. And I'm trying my best to have this be a habit, which I think will really help me be present. Even, last night coaching a soccer game, I just looked at these players just trying their best, and I had this moment of like, this is harmony. This is balance. Isn't this wonderful, right? I didn't feel tired at that moment. I didn't, and so I think you can find little moments of harmony wherever you may look for them.
I might have a bookend to that, and I probably actually do need to find more little moments, but I've had some big moments recently where I've been standing in front of rooms of leaders that at the end of workshops, day-long or 2-day long workshops, they literally get a survey about me, right? How effective was she? Like, I get to anonymously give opinions, fear of people's opinions on, how good of a job I did. And so that is a very uncomfortable place for me to be. And I did just recently have a bit of a win in this last one, in that I've gotten really good feedback, which is great. So lesson 1 is I've got to listen to that and own it. But lesson 2 is that I got a little bit of feedback that just seemed a little out of left field. And I was able to go, I feel like that's a learner thing, not a me thing. Versus I think Tiffany a few months ago would have gone, oh my God, I screwed up. Like, what could I have done better, and really internalize that. But I looked at the survey data and I was like, that's not a me thing. And that's okay. I'm not all things to all people, and not everybody in that moment is ready for, I don't know what is going on, but I let it sit and I was like, I'm not owning that.
Beautiful.
Go me. How about you, Curtis?
Awesome. Yeah, no, I can't think of something, I guess, super recent, but I'm trying to, I guess, think about how I've prioritized my values more, so which helps me make decisions better.
Yeah.
And that's the same in business too, right? Like, what are my priorities on the table? But I think, like, family for me comes first.
Yeah.
My life with my family comes first. So, I love hanging out with friends. I love meeting new people. That's like I get the biggest energy high from meeting new people. But if my family is doing something and I have the opportunity to meet new people, instead of moving towards that what would make me, like, I guess, feel the most energy, I will pick family now, which over the long run has, like, my relationship with my family and my extended family has grown so much in the last few years since I've made those choices. So
I'm just going to add one thing into that. There's a reason why values is one of the first classes we kind of go through with MBA students. We as coaches dive into core values, the things that mean so much to us. They help us make decisions, and it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So great point there, Curtis.
Leaving space for you, Curtis, for you to ask questions. Paul and I usually jump in, and I know he and I are both trying to, like, not.
I can tell. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I guess I'm curious, like, where you see this fear pop up the most. Is it, like, do you see it at work?
Yeah.
Do you see it at school?
Yeah.
Do you see it, like, I guess you're not in school, but you are at, how do you describe? My wife always laughs at me. She's like, "Oh, you always say you're going to school," and I'm like, "It's my workplace."
That's where I work. Yes, it is school.
Yeah.
I'll take that, and I think this will be the last question that we kind of move, and then we'll go into the lightning round after this. I love how you brought this up, and I think this is a perfect way to kind of close out our conversation on this. I think that it shows up everywhere. I think it shows up everywhere, but in different scales. I actually think with the people that are closest to me, it will show up the most, actually. And when it is, for me, the fear of joining in, right? With my family, I can be like, I don't want to go because I just am exhausted. Where work, I'm kind of forced to go, right? Like at the end of the day, there's a little bit of a forced nature to it. So I have to be uncomfortable and have to go and do these things. And then in my personal life, well, I don't even get one of those anytime soon. So I don't even know what that kind of means even. But, when I think about it as a relatable story, a round of golf, right? I could just show up to a golf course and go by myself, but then you have to join people to do that. I'm like, do I have the energy to do that? And I don't know if I do right now. So it's around just holding space and harmony for yourself. How about you, Tiffany?
I'm going to double click on something you just said. I actually struggle more with people I know, the opinions of people that I know. And this showed up just recently. I'm taking improv. I've mentioned that a few times before. I'm not immediately great at it. It's a space of discomfort for me. And there was recently at the end of 9 lessons, classes, you have a showcase, or you perform, if you will. The very first time I actually invited friends and family, people who are going to cheer me on no matter what. Like, I know that, but knowing that they were in the audience actually really got to my fear of people's opinions, more so than anybody else in the audience that I didn't know. This time around for level 2, I invited no one. Not a single person I knew. And I don't mind getting on a stage in front. I've done that my whole life in front of people I don't know. Like, I don't care. You can leave and not like me. I won't even know the difference. If I know people in the audience or in the course that I'm teaching or in the workshop or whatever, if I know you, it's probably going to get to me a little more.
How about you, Curtis? Wrap us up here. Fear of missing out. Where does it show up the most?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's the least around family. I don't notice that fear around family, but I see it a lot when there's like actual events going on, like social events, that there's like opportunities to meet new people and try new things. Like if there's like, oh, we're gonna go skydiving, or we're gonna go axe throwing, or we're gonna go, you know,
I'll do any of those. If you want to go, Curtis, I'm in.
Yeah.
I've done both of those things, and they're amazing. So let's go. Anyway, sorry. That's not helping your FOMO.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I mean,
Paul's like, dibs out.
I still really enjoy those things. There's a lot of, I find it hard when people are like, hey, what are your hobbies? I'm like, I'll just start listing them because they're, I say
anything, everything.
Yeah. I've done everything at least once, you know, so yeah.
Oh, man. Curtis, I appreciate that you circled around to this, and it was, if we understand where it's going to show up for us, we have a better chance of like mitigating or strategizing, or even at least see it coming. And how do we deal with that, I think is really important. And it speaks back to self-awareness, which is like the thing that we talk about the most here. I think we know the three of us could keep talking. We have done this before. We talk really well. But for the sake of those listening, why don't we get on to a lightning round? You ready, Curtis? Cool. 3 quick questions, 3 good answers. What is it about your career story that's given you the biggest boost?
This one is an odd one for me because I think upon reflection, the biggest boost for me was actually when I got laid off in my career. And it's because it gave me an opportunity to like really see, like test my mettle and you know, kind of out of the frying pan into the fire situation. And I've actually been laid off twice in my career, and both times my career has gotten better after.
Oh, I like that testimonial. I've experienced the same thing, and yeah, it's pretty cool. What do you wish you'd learned sooner?
Oh, it's hard to narrow this one down. I think the biggest one for me would be learning to be vulnerable is where real human connection starts.
Beautiful.
Oh, there's a good snippet. All right, service is really important to Paul and I, so we always kind of end here. How is service going to show up for you in the coming week?
For sure. Yeah, no, I had a good opportunity. I'm part of a church group, and one of the people in our group is moving on Saturday, and she's a single mom, so she needs some of the guys to help take apart the furniture and move that in the moving truck for her. So we're gonna be doing that, and yeah, that's cool. The plan.
As someone who is not set up to like take furniture apart and move it, I have always appreciated those people who are far more set up for that, always stepping in.
We can't see. Sorry, Tiffany, I don't mean to cut you off, but we can't see Curtis's stature very well in like a screen.
Not in this
literally
screen. Yeah.
Just gonna pick up the bed or the dresser all by himself, full of clothes and bricks and lead and all of that, and he's just gonna walk it to the truck, and they're gonna get the tires will go down like this because Curtis is a giant human, so and he
says the other giant human on this call, but okay.
But I just envisioned, that's all I thought about when Curtis said he was going to help somebody move. He's just going to pick up stuff all by himself, just like put it in the truck. Yeah.
As long as there's no short doorways on the it should be good.
Good point. You aren't moving any hobbits out of any hobbit homes anytime soon.
Yeah.
This person doesn't live in the Shire, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, we are actually going to Japan in July.
So you are in trouble.
Should be interesting. Yeah, there'll be a few short doorways. I'm sure.
Start working on your squats now. So we're gonna round this off a little bit differently. Usually it's Paul that gets to do Paul's random question. We are handing this over to Curtis. So Curtis, what random question do you have for us?
Yeah, my question for you is, how do you coach people that have the same fear that you do, and what's a little practice that you would recommend?
What a great question. I'll start. This is easy for me, and I feel like, what's fascinating, being a middle-aged white bald man, like, people don't expect anxiety to be the thing that people expect, right? And I have learned that the more vulnerable you can be, the more open you can be with the feelings that come through anxiety, it has made and helped me build so many unique and amazing connections with people that I'm like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to be this like tough, like, whatever burly person. I think there's an opportunity to just be like, I'm a human. I experience things just like you would. And these are some of the tips and tricks that have helped me. Go and try it and see what happens, right? And at the end of the day, come back and report back to me. If it didn't work, hey, we can think of something different and unique. It is so easy for me to make connection with people that have this same type of mindset that I do, or the same thing that kind of gets in my way, that I love talking about it, because I think I like to be a caveat for change for people. And it's not change to like eliminate it. It's change to understand it.
So you're comfortable leading with your weakness.
Absolutely. I understand all of the things I'm good at. For heaven's sakes, I'm a certified strengths coach, but like, I also understand the things that get in my way, the roadblocks that get in my way. And this little character, like, just allows me to just be like, I feel it. Like, I know what you feel like. So.
I would say ditto to the so people don't assume that I can be a bit kind of paralyzed by what other people think. If I'm showing up and I'm on, I show up as a very confident person that seems like I don't give any F's, if you will, about what people think, and it's just like the complete opposite of what's true. So I think admitting that even I suffer, if you will, from it, or are challenged by it, really helps connect coach and coachee, just like Paul had said. And most of the times, I think for both of us, you get a, oh, no way, I had no idea that was struggle for you too. So that's neat. There's a specific practice. This is familiar to some who coach with me, but there is truly a reason I walk people through a reflection practice I call the 3-2-1, but it's centered around self-celebration. And that's what supports me. If I can figure out how to celebrate myself, that helps disconnect me from the other people's opinions having kind of weight over me. And so helping people truly turn themselves inward and go, what am I really great at? How often can I repeat that to myself? And how can that change my mindset? I find is a great disconnection of being so connected to other people's opinions. So
I love that. I've not heard that before. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Curtis. Truly. So this has been a different episode. What people don't realize, or they might coming up, is that we're using different tech. We have decided to have a discussion for the first time in 69 episodes. We offered up the question at the end to you, like, we did things differently this episode. And I kid you not, there was literally no one else that we thought of when we were like, let's throw some spaghetti against a wall and see what sticks. Curtis, let's do that with Curtis, which is a huge testament actually to how you show up. Truly, how you've shown up when you haven't been aware that Paul and I have been watching. That sounds creepy. We're not watching. When we've been experiencing you, it's like that
observation,
like,
Tiffany. We are observing.
Yeah, observing.
We are observant
I don't know.
coaches.
We are observant people, but that is the brand that you bring, and the brand that you have brought in interacting with us. And so thank you for bringing the authenticity and the vulnerability that comes with you, which is what I find to be really motivating and inspiring about you. So you were a safe space for us to try this, because this is new for us, and we just really appreciate you embracing that with us.
Thank you so much for the insight into your process for choosing this opportunity. So yeah, super happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Sounds great. Thanks so much. All right, key takeaways, and I think unknowingly we have both picked ones that actually relate to the thing that we brought to this conversation. And so when he mentioned the quote that we shouldn't, judge our insides by somebody else's outsides, oh man, that spoke straight to my FOPO heart. That is what I do quite often, is that I am somebody else's outsides, which is a perception, a story I'm telling myself about somebody else on their outside that I'm using to judge my inside, and nobody should have that type of power, and I'm giving it away. It is me giving away my power when I let somebody else's outside be what's judging my inside. So I'm gonna write that down somewhere.
Nice. For me, Curtis and I, we're almost on opposite ends of a little spectrum that we have, the fear of missing out and the fear of joining in, right? So he talked about saying yes and how that will impact the future, Curtis. I think that takeaway really resonated with me because, if there's an opportunity for me to go and do something, if I say yes to this, what are the great things that could come from it, right? And I think there's real value and benefit from looking at, from an anxiety sufferer, a worrier, an overthinker, but just saying yes to something could have amazing impact to things. We teach and educate around the theory of happenstance and planned happenstance. So if we say yes to something, we never know what could come from that. So
never know. I love it. And I think you might find that Curtis comes back and we continue this conversation. Yeah. I think it's a really valuable one. And again, we super appreciate his willingness to step into something new with us. We have one more episode this season. I can't believe season 2 is almost over, and then we're going to take a bit of a break. So we'll catch you again in 2 weeks, and then we will say goodbye for a few more weeks after that. But catch you later. Thanks for tuning in to the Career Boosters podcast. We hope you had a blast. Yeah, we know that's corny. Catch you next time, and remember to subscribe wherever you enjoy podcasts.